I'm going to talk to you guys about how to update spacing on the website. For example, we go here and you see that there's a lot of space down here, right? But there's very little space on top, and you kind of want it to match. There's a few ways to actually update the spacing on different sections or different rows. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys all the different ways on how to put spaces on different sections or remove spacing on different sections. So I'm going to scroll down here. You're going to see there's nothing here that tells it that there's spacing underneath, right? So one of the things that could exist is a divider. So there could be a divider right under here, or there could be a divider right under here. And you can actually click on the little pencil over a divider and decide how big you want the space, right? For example, if I were to, on here, there's a space between Lash Perfect and then the button, right here, Lash Perfect Realistic Looking Browns and the button. See, Lash Perfect Realistic, and so there's a space here of 20 pixels. I could increase that space, right? I could put 50 pixel. Now it's gonna go from being really small to doubling the size. I can hit preview. As long as I don't hit update, it doesn't change anything. Notice I just made a bigger space. So that's one of the ways, right? And if you want to add a divider, you just click the plus sign, and you go to divider, and then I just added a divider down here, and I can choose how much, right? So I'm gonna delete it because I don't want it. I'm gonna put this back at 20. Okay. Now, where is this gap coming from? Now it could, so these are columns, column 1, column 2, right? This whole thing here is a row. So let's click on the, so if you click on the pencil here, you're only updating this column. If you click on the pencil here, you're only updating this column. If you click on this pencil, you're updating the whole row. So let's start with the row. Let's see. So if you scroll all the way down, you can put padding here too, and says, hey, let's put some padding on the top and some padding on the bottom. Just like the divider, I can put 50 megapixel here, 50 pixels, I'm sorry, and then it's gonna put 50 pixels of space underneath the whole row. So like right underneath here, you put 50, right? But that's not the case. There's no space in here, so we know it's not a row issue. Now let's look at this column. Now there's a 5% column padding. So a padding, it's pretty much when you put space around the column. So there's 5%, which is 5% all around. See, it says 5% on custom padding position on all sides. You can choose specific sides to put the padding, but it's all around. But there's no margin on the top or on the bottom. So it's probably not this. Let's look over here on this column. There's 2% padding on all sides, but there's a 20 margin on the bottom. Let's delete that. I just deleted it. Now let's refresh it. There was a 20 pixel margin on the bottom. Let's see if that removes the space that we have here. No, it doesn't remove it. So where is this space coming from? Let's see here. It's not on the underneath. So we don't know where that space comes from, right? It's kind of weird. I'm gonna try something to see if this will fix it. Yeah, it's really weird. We have to find out where is that space coming from. It's not on the bottom. It's not here. So maybe it was the 5%. Let's remove it to none. Let's go to none and see. The padding around the content here was at 5%. Let's completely remove it. Okay, there's still a gap. So let's put back at 5%, because that 5% is going to bring these things 5% away from here. So let's go back to 5%. And now the only other thing I could think of is that this right here, the coding on here, somewhere in here, there is some gap and we just don't see it. So what I'm gonna do, actually, I'm gonna delete this video for a second. I'll put it back later, and I'm gonna see if the padding is still there. So let's see. The padding's still there, so it's obviously not the video. This is a 40. So it's really hard to know where this is coming from. I honestly don't know where it could be. Let's see. Could be a code issue, which means we may have to redesign this thing. Okay, nothing here. It's really strange. This isn't a typical thing, but it's good for us to go through it so that, let's change this just to see. I'm gonna duplicate it. And see if the bottom one does the same thing. Let's see. Both of them does it. So apparently, we know the issue is here. I'm gonna try changing from 2 to 1 column, so they remove from side by side, and now they're on top of each other. Everything. Okay. So when I fix the column, the space kind of left. Now let's put the columns back. I'm gonna put this here. This here. So I pretty much move it from 2 columns to 1 column, and now I've moved it back to 2 columns, and I'm just dragging all of the items back here, because when you move it to 1, it just stacks everything, and I think that's gonna fix it. Let's see. Nope, it did not fix it. That's really strange. Let's put this here and see. This is really strange. Essentially, I'm going to create a whole new grid, and I'm going to drag item by item to it, and I'm going to see if we can fix it. If we can just create a whole new one. Maybe that row is just faulty. Okay, this one, the video didn't bring any space. Okay. I'm gonna bring everything to this new row I just created. I didn't duplicate the broken row, I just brought a brand new one. Because something is obviously wrong with that row, so I'm gonna bring a brand new one. Now I want everything here to be centered instead of so centered content alignment, so it can look like this instead of everything being off to the right like this. We don't want the buttons to the right like that. And we want, I think here we had nothing. Here we had 5% body. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. I'm going to put this in the middle. So full width content, so it can touch from right to left. See how everything's in the center? I don't want it to be in the center. I want it to be full width. And then I want everything to be equal height, and I put everything on the center. This really, all that means is that this one and this one are equal height, and both of them are going to be in the center. This is what I mean by that. Instead of this one being over here, touching the top, and the other one being in the center, they're both going to be in the center. See that? They both have the same, they're both in the center of the square. And I'm going to delete the ones on top. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to put a little bit of space, like maybe like 30 and 30 underneath. So I showed you how to create spacing. You can do it on the column, or you can, and I'm going to delete this now so they can both be even. You can do it on the column, and you can do it as an item. So we went ahead and we fixed it, okay? So those are all, you can do, put the spacing over the whole row, you can do it on the column, or you can do it as an item, as a divider. And if for some reason you can't update it, maybe you just got to delete that row and drag everything into a new row, because that row may have a faulty code on it. That's how you work through this.